Hi, this is Kristine from Mom Vegan Love, and I'm so excited. I'm sorry we can't be there live today, but I couldn't let a whole week go by without sharing some just little nuggets about how amazing it is to go vegan and how easy it can be. And so today I have a very, very special guest. Ashlee is here with me today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Kristine. I'm just excited and honored to be here.
Oh, me too. Me too. I can't wait to just show people how easy it can be to take that first step. So can you tell us a little bit about your story to go vegan, plant-based, and why you decided to go down that path?
Of course, I would love to. I'm Ashlee of Sunshine Avocado, Ashlee Health Coaching, and this journey has been like a lifelong journey for me. I was not born into a vegan household, but my mom was always very health conscious and always open-minded about like what's the next best thing we can do for health. So she was always like, shopping at Whole Foods before it was like the cool thing to do. And I was like the kid with all the veggies in the lunchbox, and people are like, what is that? And so my mom still cooked meat as I was growing up, and I really stopped liking it. Like before I was old enough to really rationalize it or have any logic behind like I don't want to eat meat. I just knew that I didn't like the way that it felt when I was chewing it in my mouth. So when I was like 10 or 11, I kind of got where I was like, I don't like this anymore. And my mom was like, don't eat it. And so like if it was in like, spaghetti or something that's like already made and it's little, like I would kind of just pick it out. And as I got older, I think when I was in high school, I really made like the conscious choice to become vegetarian. And it just sort of progressed from there. When I was studying nutrition, um, and becoming a health coach, I learned a lot about being vegan. And I started checking out local restaurants that were like raw vegan places. And I was still eating animal products, but I was just getting a lot more curious and just enjoying the animal products less and less. And really, I was still eating like eggs and dairy and fish pretty frequently up until the end of 2019. So I haven't had like land animals, as I say, in like over a decade. But really at the end of 2019, I made a conscious decision of like, I want to go into the new year with no animal products. Um, so yeah, and then pandemic hit. So it made it really easy because there was nobody making dinner plans to go out anywhere. And so it was a really great time to transition and not have like all the pressures of the outside world. So yeah, that's kind of my journey to here.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I love also just looking at the pandemic as, I mean, obviously it was crazy time in all our lives, but it could have, we just looked at it as a sort of a blessing too, just that we get spend more time with each other and get to be home cooking and you experiencing this. I love that.
Yeah,
It's all a frame of mind.
for sure.
Oh, so what was the biggest change that you experienced after going vegan?
I think a lot of things happened for me at once. And around the same time that I had made that decision, I also started deepening my spiritual practice. And then in June of last year, I decided to get sober. And like all of these things collectively have just kind of like deepened the process. And I really feel like um, eating plant-based and using food as medicine and focusing on eating living foods in conjunction with the overall mindfulness that I've been cultivating has really just made me so much more in tune with my body and the world around me. And I just feel so much more alive, you know?
Yeah, I hear all that. I hear all that. That the first thing that I let go of was I quit smoking, and it's amazing now that I can't even remember the date because at the time it was such a big change for me because I was so addicted. But I would say it's probably been maybe 8 years now, and that was like the first thing, the step that I took that away, and then I could see my drinking, and I'm like, okay, that is not working. So I'm also sober, and then that opened up to, okay, what else am I doing for this like body I've been gifted? What else am I putting in there? And for us, it was like the perfect storm with my son. Well, again, viewing things as a blessing, really, when it's at the time may not seem that way, that my son was allergic to dairy, we found out. And so it was just like the perfect storm of all these things happening together. And it's just, okay, so what do we eat instead of dairy? I love it. And also, as a perfectionist, for me, I always thought that, okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. It's like all or nothing. But I just love how it has just like organically evolved over the years. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it too.
And I also, I was debating on like how if I wanted to say this at all. And then you were like, all or nothing. And I really want to say like, I am vegan 99.9% of the time.
Mm.
But there are still times where like I don't purchase animal products. I don't cook with them in my own house. But if I'm at my grandmother's house for Christmas and she forgot and she put butter in something, or she got her favorite cheesecake or whatever, like I'm not gonna be like, no, no, get away from me, I kind of refer to myself as like a flexitarian because I'm just, I'm not an all or nothing person. And I was debating on whether I wanted to bring this up or not, but I feel like it's so important for people that are transitioning because so many people do think of it as like such an all or nothing thing.
Mhm.
And when I talk about like being vegan or even sobriety, like I feel like any step in the right direction is progress. So when I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much vegan, I'm like, you don't have to like go off the deep end all at once. Like if you're like a meat and cheese person, like start with a meatless Monday.
Mm.
Start with making meat like I call it like a condiment instead of like the center of the dish. Like
Yeah.
just ease in that direction. And I feel like that's such a more friendly way because people are like, you have to go vegan now. And people get like scared and they're like, I don't know how to do that. That's like a very big change for me. So I'm like, any step in the right direction is good.
And I totally agree. And I've definitely gone through phases with that because it didn't really become easy for me until I connected with the animals. Like my husband and I watched the movie Earthlings together, and we came out different on the other side. Like we really connected that we have 3 beagles that we have rescued. There's no difference between them and the pigs that we would eat, or the cows or chickens. And it just like something just clicked. But we had been, vegetarian, pescatarian for a while then. And then before then, it was more of a diet. And now I feel like it's more like a whole thing just changed. But we definitely didn't get there right away. And we still like make mistakes, just like last week we found out that this supposedly natural gummies that you can get that are supposed to be all fruit also had gelatin in it. And gelatin, we learned, this was from pigs, and we don't want to eat that. But we had, and it's not like we're gonna lose our like vegan card or anything. We can't
You're
read it.
revoked.
It's like, oh, you're out of here. But then next time we go to the store, we won't buy that,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
and for me, it's just such a refreshing way to look at things, because in the past I would have been like, okay, we failed. So just bring everything back in, people, you know.
Oh my goodness. It's so, and that's another thing. Like, there are so many hidden ingredients. And I think that's one of the things about being vegan or plant-based. It just, like, the more real whole foods you're eating, like, the less people can sneak things in there. Like,
Yes.
the gelatin is such a funny thing. Like, I'll never forget telling my vegan friend, this was before I was sober. We were like at a party, there was Jello shots. My friend was like talking about how she's vegan. She's like doing Jello shots. And
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, do you know if the Jello is vegan? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, it's just Jello. And I was like, I don't want to burst your bubble. And she was like, oh my God, no. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just things like, who would have thought? Like, in growing up in Sweden, like, it's not that way here, but there would be like every grocery store that I remember had like a whole wall of candy. And you go get your bag and we'll scoop and just take a little bit of everything. And that's what I would do, my family would do on Saturdays. That's how we would treat ourselves. I bet in all that candy, there was some sort of animal product. But was that on my radar? No, because it's candy. And I mean, really, we don't eat, I personally don't eat that much candy because, like you said, I'd rather eat something that, here's a banana, here's an apple, you know, something that I actually know what it is. But yeah, it's everywhere. And like with my son's dairy allergy, just starting reading all those labels and just being like, it's under different names too, like whey, WHEY, that's
Yeah.
milk. What else, like well, lactose, but it's just like, it's not just, it's kind of sneaky, you
It
know.
is. It is for sure.
Oh, yeah, I feel ready to let go of my perfectionism little by little. I can't see, that's a good one though. I can't let go of it all at once. So I'm gonna fail like letting go of my
Right. It's so funny
perfectionism.
how, like, feeling the need to let go of your perfectionism in an all or nothing way is still perfectionism.
Oh no, I failed letting go of my perfectionism. Ah! Oh my goodness.
That's so great.
Oh, life. Earth school is amazing. It's always something. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. My next question. Is your whole household vegan or plant-based?
So our household is currently just myself and my partner, Jamie. And she is definitely not plant-based, unfortunately. I still have my fingers crossed, but it has progressed so much. I mean, we've been together for 3 almost 4 years, and during that time she's watched my health journey, my plant-based journey progress, and she's definitely gotten more and more curious along the way. And even though she still eats animal products, like on a special occasion she'll still order a steak, and I'm like sitting across the table just repulsed, but that's her choice. And in my healing journey and my studies with health coaching, I really feel like plant-based is what's best for me, but that's not necessarily what's best for everybody. I know that a lot of people, depending on blood type and the way they were raised, like, I feel like everybody could be vegan, but not everybody would necessarily thrive on vegan. So I'm very supportive of people just exploring and trying and seeing what's
Mm.
best for them. I tried to eat meat when I was younger and it just wasn't for me. I know that that's not for me. Jamie dabbles with being vegan and I really appreciate that. Like, when we go to date nights, she always makes sure that there's something vegan on the menu, or she'll take me to a vegan place. And we love going to Lucille's downtown. That's our
Ooh.
spot. And she's not vegan, but that's her favorite pizza and she loves it. So she's very supportive and she's very understanding. And like, if she's cooking dinner, like for us, she makes sure everything is vegan. Um, and she knows that I won't cook meat. She can do that if she wants, but she typically doesn't do it in the house. Like if we go out, she'll do whatever she's gonna do. But it's very nice having someone who is very respectful and very understanding, because yeah, it's not a big house and I don't want the meat right next to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I get all that. I mean, when we first started this journey, I would say that I was probably in our household the one that was most excited about it, because I watched Forks Over Knives and wanted to change everything overnight. And the other people in the house were just a little bit hesitant. So yeah, just been a journey, and such a growth journey for me too. Well, since I cook most of the food, my husband does too, but I would just stop. I stopped buying animals, like animal products. I didn't. It didn't resonate with me anymore. And for the longest time, like you said, like my husband was a flexitarian. Like if he would be at work, we were in Chicago at the time, and if there was a lunch being served there, he would eat it, because he is now vegan a lot for the environment. So he didn't like the waste. But then we
Exactly.
kind of worked into that whole thing though, that but you're not a trash can. So like it's
I love
like,
that.
yeah. But it's been such a like growing journey together. And at some point I remember later on, my mom and my husband conspired to sneak in some dairy and eggs in the house, and I could hear them whispering, and I'm like, what is going on?
Oh my
But
goodness.
it's been yeah. And now, I mean, my husband got this sign for us, animal friendly kitchen, and our whole house now is, I mean, as far as we know, we don't on purpose buy anything that's not vegan. So, but yeah, it definitely didn't happen overnight. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun to do it together.
definitely. And I think I love what you said about like it just didn't resonate with like purchasing animal products for you anymore.
Yeah,
And I very much agree with that. Like I said, if my partner wants to buy her own animal products and bring them home or eat them out and about, that's her business.
yeah,
But I personally do not spend my own money on it, because for me, I mean, when you spend money, you're essentially placing a vote. It's supply and demand. You're saying that you support that and that you want more of that.
yeah.
And obviously, I don't want any more of that. And I remember, not with her, but with the person that I was with before, there was like this, we got in this huge fight one time because I hadn't eaten McDonald's in years. And he was like, hey, can you just stop, get me a burger on the way home? And I was like, no. And he's like, you don't have to eat it. Like, you don't have to get anything. I'll pay you back.
Mm,
And I was like, but I would be handing them my money. And
mhm.
I'm just not okay with that. He's like, no, I'll pay you back. You're not understanding. And I'm like, no, you're not
Yeah,
understanding. They're not getting my money. Even if somebody else is giving it back to me, they
yeah.
are not getting my money. And he was like, whoa. And I was like,
Mhm.
no, but it's principle. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not spending money, not a single penny, on something that I don't agree with in this world,
yeah,
because that tells people, hey, people like this. They want more of it. This is okay. And I don't think it is. So
yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And that's why I feel it's so empowering to be vegan and plant-based, because I get to vote, like you said, with my dollars, and what I put on my plate 3 times a day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I get to increase the demand for other products. So you're just like shifting, sending out these like little waves of hope, I feel.
yeah. Well, and it's definitely like with anything, you're setting an example and creating a ripple effect. So
Mhm. Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, wonderful. And let's see. So if somebody is super excited about trying going vegan, what is some advice you would give them to get started?
Oh my goodness. I guess, like I said, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, especially in the beginning. I really invite people to just take a notice, take an inventory of like what they eat on a normal basis, because a lot of people don't realize how many animal products they're eating. I
Mm.
mean, they'll go to a restaurant and they'll order like the veggies for the side, but they don't know that those veggies are probably cooked in butter. You know, unless you go to a vegan place or you specifically ask. And so there are so many things that it's like, you don't have to go all or nothing. Just take notice and see what would be doable for you to eliminate or switch over, and just kind of like start easing in that direction. Like I said, practice a meatless Monday. Get on Pinterest and look at some vegan recipes and just play with the idea, because so many people think like, oh, I'm never going to be able to eat my favorite foods again. And that's so not true. They have vegan versions of everything now.
Mhm.
So it's like, you know, just play with the idea. Maybe next time you're in the grocery store, go peek through the vegan section. And if you don't buy anything, that's okay. But just see what the options are and like play with the ideas, you know?
Mm. Oh, I love that. And it reminds me of just when I quit smoking, because I think food may not be called an addiction, because we need to eat, obviously, but I think I was personally addicted to dairy. And just the books that I read quitting smoking was called The Easy Way to Quit by Alan Carr. And basically, have you heard of it?
No, I was never a smoker, but my mom, she quit drinking like 2 months before me. It was not planned. We just both kind of were easing in that direction.
Huh?
And she read The Easy Way to Quit, or The Easy Way to
Oh,
Control Alcohol by Alan Carr. And she like tells everybody about it. So as
I
soon as you were like
know.
the easy way, I was like, oh.
Because it's the same principle he applies to all these different things. And one thing that he says, which was the reason I even dared to read it, is like, you can keep smoking while you read this book. And of course, I wanted to keep smoking because the cigarette at the time was my best friend.
Yeah.
So I needed my best friend to get me through this. Just like I felt like I was on the top of like a cliff, and just like, okay, come on, we're doing it together. But then if you do that, just like you said, like observe what you eat in a day, and just don't do anything about it, but just like observe it, and like we were talking about, just like feel how it feels in your mouth. This is what you're eating right now. How does that feel? You swallow it. Okay, so now it's in here. What is it gonna do? I love that. Don't, you don't have to make any changes, but just observing and being in the moment. I mean, it's just, yeah, that whole easy way, I think, works for all. Yeah, the ice, the ice wonder can't say something too. But yeah, it's just, yeah, then you have nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And I was so glad I read that book about Easy Way to Quit Smoking, because when I was done with it, and I had to be honest, I did have to read it a couple of times, because I quit with each of my pregnancies. I have 3 kids. And then I didn't quit for me. I quit for my kids. I would do anything for my kids. When I finally read it again after my son was born, it was like I was open to it and just really hearing the message, and just I would find myself in, like, we were in Chicago, and I started smoking when I was 15 because it was cool, whatever. At 35 years old, standing in an alley in Chicago in the middle of the winter, freezing cold, by myself. My friends are talking inside.
Yeah.
That's where the fun is. And just noticing in that moment, like there was a dumpster here. It was like rain, snow, cold, disgustingness. And I'm like, this is not cool. This is not fun. And just like being aware in that moment, and just like, ooh, what am I doing?
Yeah. And I
Oh,
think those moments are so important, whether it's about smoking or drinking or the food you're eating, because I feel like so many people in this day and age are like legitimately just going through life on autopilot, but they don't even realize it.
yeah.
So like my invitation is just like, hey, just take a step back. Notice what you're doing.
Mm.
Do you like that? Is that something that you like when other people do it? Like,
Mm.
is this something that you want in your life? Because we get so in the habit of like, we do something once or twice or a couple of times because it's cool,
Mm.
or because it just happens in the moment. And then like all of a sudden, like you said, like 20 years later, you're like, have I been doing this every day for 20 years? And then you're like, wait a minute.
How is it 20 years later?
Yeah, like, oh, that's weird.
Where did
So,
all the cool kids go?
yeah. What's so funny about the book, I remember my mom saying, she's like, it was such a small book and it's never taken me longer to read a book because it's like, oh, you don't have to quit drinking until the end. So she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll read a paragraph today, read a paragraph tomorrow. She's like, but I got to the end and I was like, why do I want this drink?
Right.
So
Yeah. And I love that because everybody needs to just, I mean, I think that's great that she took the time to read it then, because then you really, you know, basically what I did the first couple of times was like, I would get that positive pregnancy test and I would be so happy about that. But at the same time, in the addiction to cigarettes and alcohol, feeling really deprived for myself. So I would read the book super fast to just be like, okay, obviously I had to quit smoking today, like yesterday. Probably shouldn't have been smoking for the last, 4 weeks or whatever before we found out. So that is such a good point. That's like, woo, for me too. So of course it didn't work, because I didn't do it for myself and I didn't let the message sink in, Woo, good stuff. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, next question. Do you have any shopping or pantry tips that you would like to share?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I get excited. So I feel like a lot of people transitioning have this excitement when they realize that there are so many vegan products available. And I have to remind people sometimes that just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. There is still vegan junk food. There's still vegan processed foods. And like, they have like the little like vegan lunch meats now. And like, they're pretty tasty. I'm not going to lie. But like, in my opinion, as like a health professional, that's processed just the way that like meat cold cuts are processed. So even though nobody died to make that, like you're still putting overly processed food in your body. So for me, it's yeah, I'm still going to pick the vegan cold cuts if I'm going to have like a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
But it's just being mindful that just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. You still want to be choosing fresh whole foods as much as possible. And that's one of the reasons too that I really say like plant-based instead of vegan, because there's so many junk food vegan products. But when you say plant-based, I really think it's a reminder that you're wanting mostly living plants.
Yes. Yeah, I love that because that's where I know I feel the best. So that's where we're moving from, because I made the connection with the animals. So we're just moving away, not away, but more towards like the whole foods, plant-based way of eating for my health, because that's what I'm kind of on the journey I am on right now, just like finding that love for myself that I feel for the animals, and for our planet.
Yes.
Just like this, like treating this vessel that I have with respect to and compassion and love, and just listening, because your body will tell you, this didn't sit well with me, try again, try something new, or
I know the last time I ate chicken, I had this huge realization. I hadn't eaten red meat in like several years. But this specific memory that I'm thinking of was probably like 2016, I was working at this little organic local family taco shop. Papo's, shout out to Papo's. They're amazing. They have lovely vegan options in the Sarasota area. So I loved working for them. But one day I was working and the chicken was like smelling so good. And I was like, I'm just gonna eat a chicken taco. I haven't had chicken in years and it smells really good. I honor what my body wants. So I was like, for whatever reason, I feel the need to eat this chicken taco. So I'm gonna do it. And like 20 minutes after, I went to the bathroom and threw up because my body, not in like a choice way, my body literally rejected it and was like, whoa, we don't eat that anymore. And my body physically was like, no. And that was a very interesting experience for me. And the rest of the day, I was like really fidgety, really flighty, really scatterbrained. And I started looking into the energetics of food because I very much believe like you are what you eat. And that was another big kicker for me for like no more animals, because you take on the energy of whatever you eat. And the reality is that any meat you're buying in America, unless you personally know that farmer, probably didn't live a very happy life. So when you eat that animal, you are literally eating something that was probably sick and diseased, probably depressed and unhealthy, probably drug away from its family at birth and completely alone and terrified its entire life. And when you eat that, you absorb that energy and you take that in. And I don't know about everybody else, but like I like to decide what mood I'm in today, not based on like the animal that I ate. And it was weird because before I'd ate that chicken taco, it was in the best mood ever. And then that happened. And obviously, like I'm going to be in a different mood because I had gotten sick. But I started thinking, and I used to be like a really scatterbrained, flighty person. And when I ate meat, like chicken and turkey, like I ate poultry longer than I ate anything. So like you think about that and like you're eating a bird, a flighty, scatterbrained bird. I mean, you hear like running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And I'm like, oh, wow, that makes sense. So I'm like, I don't want that in my body.
Oh, that really resonates with me.
Yeah.
And I think even now, just looking at how the meat and poultry industry is trying to shift the marketing for that, and with the organic and farm raised and all that, no matter if it's a really small farm and they've been raised as family, you don't really kill your family member and eat your family member. Talk about a betrayal at the end then.
Yeah.
Then we put that in our bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Oh, this is big. Okay, next question. What is your favorite go-to meal that you would eat on a busy weekday night?
Oh my goodness. I'm such a foodie. I think like the best easy go-to, in my opinion, I love a good stir fry. You can throw anything in there. I'm very big on as little waste as possible as well. So like if I go in there and I have veggies that had good intentions at the beginning of the week, but it's the end of the week now and those intentions were not met, I can just throw everything in a little stir fry and it's fine. It's a good way to use like whatever veggies you have in the fridge, and it never turns out bad. I always have like some rice or quinoa sitting around and I can just kind of pair that with whatever veggies I throw in my skillet at the time. So I think that's like a really great, easy go-to. And you've got to try really, really hard to mess up a stir fry. So
what kind of spices or sauces do you like to use for that?
So I've been using like coconut aminos instead of soy sauce,
Okay.
Just because it's a little bit more added nutrition instead of just a ton of sodium. And Yeah, I've been actually making my own seasoning blends, which I've been very excited about.
Oh,
So I use my seasoning blend that I call the Daily Grind, which is just kind of like my everything but the sink everyday blend. So yeah, and I'm
oh,
not going to tell you what's in it because I want people to come buy it from me.
oh, like you can buy it from you. That's super cool.
Yes. So I'm doing my own seasoning blends now because I feel like so many people when they start out cooking, you look at all these recipes and they all have like 5 or 6 seasonings in there and people are like,
Yeah.
I don't have the money to go buy all of these seasonings at once.
Mhm.
And so many blends you buy are just like mostly salt with like a bunch of like preservatives. So I'm just trying to make like a healthier option for my clients and people around because yeah. So I
That's a
have a
great
couple so
idea.
far. My Daily Grind, like I said, is like my go-to. It's just like a perfect little everyday blend. So
So where can people go to find information about you and the spice blend?
yeah. So my handle on Instagram and Facebook and everything is Sunshine Avocado Ashlee. And that's where all things Sunshine Avocado Ashlee are. My coaching and my seasoning blends. And I meant to mention this as well, like when you were talking about tips for shopping, I do market meetups with clients.
Oh,
Yeah, I really like I love helping people realize how easy it is and how doable it is and helping meet them where they are to make that transition. So yeah, that's that's part of what I do.
mm. Oh, I think that's such a lovely, lovely idea because it can be overwhelming for sure. I remember going to the grocery store and just having, well, going looking for all the dairy, but even when we made a connection, really want to go vegan, I had the my baby Björn, and then 2 other kids that were still really small. And going into the store, I'm like, okay, treasure hunt, people. We're gonna start reading some labels and we're gonna have fun, you know. And that me enrolling my family at the time was more on just a connection to the animals than for health. So I kind of, we went to town on all like trying to find the best new ice cream, vegan ice cream flavor, or like the best hummus. Are there nuggets like vegan nuggets? And I mean yeah. And also we came home with lots of fruits and veggies, and just that was a really good tip actually for getting my kids to eat more veggies. I just let them choose whichever hummus they wanted or vegan dip at the store, and then just chopped up a bunch of veggies, and we just had like a little taste testing at home.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great tip. And I mean, like that's one of the things like when people, are doing meal prep and they think it can be like protein and grain only. And I'm like, get out of there. Like you can use spices, you can use sauces. Like think of the um think of it as like a vehicle for getting it in there. Like if you're
Yeah.
not going to eat the vegetables at all versus eating them covered in sauce, eat them covered in sauce. Like that's better than not eating them at all. So I love that. Just using like something to make the veggies a little more exciting.
I love that. That's what I love about the salads. They have a crop here in town. There's just the dressings they put on. They have the like a kale Caesar, and I think the sauce is some sort of cashew based, and it's so good. But it's really, I mean, it takes the salad to like a completely different level, and I definitely eat more of it, and that's something you want to eat more of. So I love that. It's great. Oh, wonderful. Do you have any final things you want to say, or?
um, I don't think so. Just again, just everything with an open mind. It's just don't be so serious about it. Like just explore. It's just life, right? Like just explore, just play with it. Like we've got a while here. We might as well get comfortable and find things
Oh,
that we enjoy eating. And again, just playing with that mindfulness, and again, like just really sitting there and seeing how it feels when you're choosing your food, when you're eating your food, after you've eaten your food. I saw this video a few years ago of this toddler that's like not even old enough to like form complete sentences, but it's like sitting in the high chair, and the mother had given it the chicken or the meat, whatever kind of meat it was, broken up into the safe little baby sized pieces, which is like so funny to me that you're like, meat and babies has always been weird to me, even before I was like vegan. Like, it's just weird to watch infants eat a dead animal, but that's just me, I guess. I don't know. But I was watching this video, and the toddler is like not wanting to eat the meat. And the mom is like, why? Like, you need to eat, you need protein, you need to eat this. And the toddler, who has no understanding of nutrition or the way of the world or anything, and it's like, this is called chicken, like in their little toddler words and voice. They're like, this is chicken. And the mom is like, yeah. And they're like, isn't that like an animal? And the mom is like, yeah. And the kid is like, starts crying, and it's like, I'm not eating that. Like, why would we eat that? I don't, like, the child cannot understand for the life of it, like, why would we eat this dead animal? And I'm like, we are all like, if we could just learn to listen to our inner children, be mindful, be playful, what would your inner child think? Like, just play with that.
Oh, that's such great advice. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, there's a reason we take our children to an apple orchard and not to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful, Kristine. Like, seriously. I mean, yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, we know.
And isn't it funny? Like, I mean, people don't think about that, but when you say it, wow. And we take kids to farms to see the animals, and they love the animals, right? Yeah. Like, but we lose the connection somewhere.
Yeah, I was talking about that the other day. It's this researcher named Melanie Joy, and she talks about this hidden in plain sight belief system that is all around us, called, she coined the term carnism. And it's just that we just can't see it because everybody else is doing it. And so some animals are viewed as food animals, and the food animals are even different in other countries. In some places they eat dogs, and here that would just be.
Yeah. And in some places it's like terrible to eat cow.
Yeah, exactly. Or pig.
Yeah.
But it's just like, she has an amazing TED Talk. So just check that out. It's like TED Talk Carnism, Melanie Joy. And it's just like an 18-minute speech. And it just blew my mind. Yeah, just about how it's.
For sure.
Because everybody's just doing it. So it's just, we are the weird ones, the odd ones who say that, no, I will not eat my dog. I will not eat the cow. I will not eat the pig. And that is weird.
Oh my gosh. I was in the store a while back, and I couldn't find like the organic, whatever I was looking for. We'll say tomatoes, for example. I don't remember what it was, but I was looking and I saw like the conventional ones, but I couldn't find the organic ones. And I think I was in Publix at the time. And I asked the guy that was in the produce section, hey, where are the organic tomatoes? And he says, oh, the normal ones are right here. I'm not sure where the organic ones are. And I said, I was just like rolling over in my head, because I'm like, so it's normal for the food to be just completely covered in pesticides and chemicals, but for it to be grown organically is like weird.
That's weird.
I was so frustrated by that. And I'm like, you guys, the normal is not normal. Like, just play with that idea. Like, the way that food is these days is not how it's meant to be. So
question everything.
Yeah, it's question everything. And I also want to say, before I forget to, you mentioned a couple of really great documentaries. I know for me and several people in my life, my dog has decided to join. for me and several people in my life, What the Health was a
Oh.
really, really powerful watch, because it's not necessarily just about the animals or just about the health or just about the environment. It shows a little bit about all of it and about how we've all just been majorly lied to by the food industry, which I think is a whole nother discussion in itself, but it's a great watch for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yes, 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 yes. What the Health and Game Changers, Cowspiracy. There, just go on Netflix. There's so
Food
much.
Incorporated.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just be curious, right?
Yeah.
Feel empowered.
And like be sitting down because you're gonna be like mind blown.
Oh. Yeah, yeah. Fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the ride. Yeah, but it's a good ride. I certainly, like I said, like my only regret is not taking that first step earlier. So it's just, yeah, start today. Today's today. Start small.
Yes, and just nobody, you're never alone. There
Yeah.
are always people like us that are just like chomping at the bits, excited to help you. So don't even think it's an inconvenience. We're like, yes, please come ask us questions.
Did you say vegan? Like, yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so funny because I do feel like I could talk to you all day, but I should probably do. We should probably do other things today too.
Yes, but I enjoyed this so much, Kristine. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. This is amazing. I can't wait to share this with everyone. And like Ashlee said, if you have any questions, you're watching this, reach out. We're here for you. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I hope you have a great day.
You too.